This assembly will come to order. Please remain standing if you are able. Hamilton College recognizes our collective responsibility to acknowledge our colonial history. Our campus is located on the ancestral and traditional lands of the United Nations. We express gratitude for the relationship between Chief Shenandoah and Samuel Kirkland, who founded the Hamilton Oneida Academy to educate Indigenous and settler youth together. That institution became Hamilton College. Today, Hamilton College community commits itself to engaging in solidarity with the Oneida Nation and to ensuring that the perspectives and cultures of Indigenous peoples are honored and embraced. Please join me in singing America the Beautiful, the words to which are printed in your program. Please be seated. It is my honor to introduce the 20th president of Hamilton College, David Whitman.
Good morning. Welcome, everyone. Welcome, honored guests, and welcome, members of the class of 2019. On this day, On this day, 207 years ago, Hamilton College received its official charter. Today's graduating class is continuing in a long and proud tradition. A few days ago, 3 students sent me a wonderful translation of Hesiod's Works and Days. No doubt you've all already read it in the original ancient Greek, but for me, the translation was helpful. In their introduction, the students observed that they were drawn to this work by its reasonable length, its epic style, and the fact that it was assigned to them on the syllabus. Fair enough, but why bother translating it, apart from the fact that the president of the college has little Latin and less Greek? Well, the students said, we found value in the seemingly absurd task of reading and modernizing an ancient didactic poem. It still remains a useful tool for education, even if we don't intend to construct plows or castrate oxen anytime in the near future. Twice a week, the students said they came to class with individual translations prepared, and they spent the class period comparing notes and compiling the most accurate yet accessible version of the poem. While most of the country was debating the ending of Game of Thrones, these students were debating vocabulary, syntax, and the general meaning of Hesiod's language. This, in a nutshell, is the Hamilton experience. For over 200 years, inspirational faculty have helped talented students develop their capacities for critical thinking, deep reading of texts, effective oral and written expression, but most of all, a love of learning. In this case, the inspirational faculty member was, as the students put it, the fearless leader of Greek 340, Shelley Haley. The students were Tyler Boudreau, class of 2020, and two members of today's graduating class, Stephen Clement and John Thompson. I chose this particular example of Hamilton's educational model mostly to prove that I can pronounce Hesiod, but I could have chosen any number of other examples. In a world too narrowly focused on the economic return of a college investment, as important as that is, it's worth remembering the intrinsic value of education. Hesiod's Works and Days, after all, is not just about building plows and castrating oxen, useful as those skills might be. It's about understanding what makes a good and meaningful life, about family and justice, betrayal, the use and misuse of law, the virtues of work, and much more. The study of Hesiod would have been quite familiar to the college's first class of students, whose curriculum consisted almost entirely of study of the classics. Much has changed since then, but our mission remains the same: to prepare our students for lives of meaning, purpose, and active citizenship. Few have been better prepared than the class of 2019, and I cannot wait to see where life takes them. Before we continue, I want to thank the parents, grandparents, and other family members who have supported the class of 2019 over the years. Will the families of our graduates please stand? I wish also to express our profound appreciation to your faculty, coaches, and advisors. Will the faculty and coaches please stand to receive our applause? This academic year marks the retirement of Professors Dick Bedient, Rick Decker, Tim Kelly, Robert Paquette, Catherine Phelan, Deborah Pokinski, and Frank Siaka. Will they please stand? Employees of the college have worked long and lovingly on the arrangements for this weekend. We thank the offices of the deans and president, audiovisual services, Bon Appetit, campus safety, facilities management, college events, communications, LITS, and the registrar's office. Please join me in thanking them. I am pleased now to introduce the esteemed Chair of the Board of Trustees, Stephen Sadoff, class of 1973.
Good morning. On behalf of the Board of Trustees, I welcome our esteemed faculty, honored guests, and most of all, our graduates. Your accomplishments these past 4 years fill us with pride, and we look forward to your continued involvement as you join the ranks of Hamilton alumni. Since the day that you arrived on College Hill, you have faced intellectual challenges with persistence and determination. You have developed and honed skills that you will call upon for the rest of your life. At Hamilton, you have laid the foundation for perpetual learning. Your lives, both personal and professional, will be the richer for it. Your friends, teachers, and coaches will miss seeing you on campus every day, but we know you will continue to remain connected. I hope you will take every advantage of opportunities to volunteer, for each of you is forever a member of the Hamilton family. No matter how far from Clinton your lives take you, Hamilton will never leave you. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Dean of Faculty, Suzanne Keene.
Good morning. It has been my great honor and privilege to join Hamilton College this year as Dean of Faculty. When in a few moments you see me leave the stage, you may wonder, where is she going? Normally I would stay, but I must be at my son's graduation from Oberlin tomorrow, where I will sit bursting with pride and suppressing a little sigh of relief, just as some of you are doing today. On behalf of the faculty, I welcome everyone to this splendid occasion, everyone who has had a hand in the accomplishments of those whose graduation we celebrate today. Parents and extended families, siblings, grandparents, friends and neighbors, all of you who have contributed to our students' journey to this day and have traveled from near and far for this ceremony of recognition and transition, this commencement ceremony that marks the end of Hamilton's 207th academic year and the beginning of new endeavors for the class of 2019. Let's have a round of applause for family and friends. I now ask the James Soper Merrill Prize recipient, John Stickle, to join me on stage. The James Soper Merrill Prize, established in memory of James Soper Merrill by his cousin, James P. Soper, class of 1911, is awarded at commencement to that member of the graduating class who, in character and influence, has best typified the highest ideals of the college. Selected by the faculty, the recipient is presented with a gold watch. The 2019 Soper Merrill winner comes from Murraysville, Pennsylvania, and is a double major in economics and math. Professor of Economics Betsy Jensen writes, "He is an outstanding student who works as hard or harder than any student I have taught in my 35 years at Hamilton." The William Kennan Jr. Professor of Mathematics Dick Bedient writes, "As an indication of the department's regard, he was asked to be part of the group of students that we sent to lunch with our job candidates." Men's ice hockey coach Rob Haberbush writes, "As team captain, John organized the following community service projects for our team: volunteering at the Daniel Barden Highland Mudfest, the Hamilton College Walk for Autism, the Red Cross Blood Drive, the Be the Match Marrow Registry, the Breaking Bread program, where our players are paired with youth hockey players in Clinton and serve as mentors, a charity game for the Wounded Warrior Project, and the Central New York Association for the Blind, teaching them to play hockey." John is a tremendous person, mature and wise beyond his years, and we could always count on him to say and do the right thing in every situation. In his own words, John credits his fiancée, whose support and encouragement keeps him motivated, as well as his wonderful parents, who afforded him the opportunity to come to Hamilton. Please congratulate the James Soper Merrill Prize winner, John Stickle.
Thank you, Dean Keene, for the kind introduction. Wow, classmates, what a moment we find ourselves in. Today, the 26th of May, we become graduates of Hamilton College. I can't help but feel overwhelmed by a sense of joy in knowing that 4 years of hard work officially comes to an end today. Yet, it also saddens me to know that later today, when I drive down this hill, I will never again return to the same dynamic that I have grown to love. That dynamic has been shaped by great people who have both challenged and supported me in many ways during my time here. It's been molded by a special combination of rigorous academics, an outstanding athletic experience, and a plethora of opportunities to meet and engage with superb people. But while today marks the end of that dynamic, it does not mark the end of my or any of our relationship with the college. Because at the end of the day, this institution is the people who comprise it, and that includes each and every one of us. You see, today feels more like a convergence or a sealing of fate than a separation. It reminds me of a particular spot in our beautiful Root Glen. As you follow the trails downwards, you reach a point where two little streams of water meet and they form one. I've always had a deep appreciation for these types of spots and streams. I'm not sure if it's the fact that I grew up outside of Pittsburgh and the confluence of two bodies of water reminds me of home, or if it's my passion for fly fishing and knowing that these spots can be particularly good places to catch trout. Or maybe it's simply the natural beauty of this place in the Glen that ensnares my attention when I'm walking through. What I find really cool is that if you stand at the point, you can turn and look up the stream and you can see a ways. You can notice some of its twists and turns, but you can't see the beginning. Likewise, you can turn and you can look up the other stream and you can notice some of its twists and turns, but you can't see the beginning. And then you can turn and you can look downstream and you can see a ways, but you can only see so far. And if we turn back and reflect on our own lives prior to our arrival here, we can see some of the twists and turns that life threw our way. Maybe even some of the big events in life. We can look at those tributaries and see how they shaped us into who we were when we arrived here. And in a similar sense, we can look back at Hamilton College as an institution prior to our arrival. And we can see some of the events that shaped it into what it was prior to us getting here. But as we look back, we really can only see so far with clarity. And now for the last 4 years, we've been in that spot where the two little streams pour into each other, mixing their contents. For us as individuals, this surely started as a shock to the system, as new people, interests, and responsibilities came to dominate our lives. The process of mixing our contents with those of Hamilton has certainly been different as well, as we represent a diverse group of people with diverse backgrounds, diverse interests, and diverse ideas. But no matter how different our experiences were, and no matter how different that confluence may look, we were all forced to undergo this same process of combining all that we are with all that Hamilton is. And as our streams merged, we were changed by Hamilton. Yet we also have changed Hamilton, because at the end of the day, Hamilton is the people who comprise it. And as of the last 4 years, the people who comprise Hamilton College has included us, the class of 2019. So of course, today marks the moment where we officially seal our fate. It's just a bit downstream from that initial confluence as things begin to settle out and look a little bit more like a unified body of water. When we each walk across this stage and receive our diplomas in a few moments, we will forevermore be graduates of Hamilton College. And so from this little moment that we find ourselves in today, we can peer downstream and we can see a little ways. We can see the next job, the next city where we might be headed, the next people we might live with, or even just the plan for the next year. But as we look downstream, we can only see so far. There may be sharp bends or waterfalls that we don't see coming. There may be storms that overwhelm us, and there may be droughts that make life seem a bit mundane. But really, that's okay, because we, as individuals, will keep on flowing downstream. And we, as an institution, will keep on flowing downstream. So it doesn't really matter what life throws our way, because at the end of the day, we have each other to lean on, because we now flow together. Our personal accomplishments will be shared with the Hamilton community, and all of our institutional accomplishments will become sources of pride for us as individuals. I like to think that it's our new dynamic. So congratulations, my friends, the class of 2019. I'm going to miss the old dynamic for sure, but I'm excited to begin this new one, and I truly can't wait to see where the currents will take us.
Your commencement program lists the names of those students who have been singled out by their academic departments and interdisciplinary programs to receive concentration honors, and those who have been chosen as senior fellows. I also draw your attention to the names of students who won national awards, fellowships, prize scholarships, and achievement prizes at Class and Charter Day. You will find the names of students inducted into Scholastic Honor Societies listed in your program. You will also find the names of all our students whose graduation today marks a singular accomplishment. Please join me in congratulating all of these students who achieved those significant honors. I now ask Colleen Wall to join me on stage. The awards of salutatorian and valedictorian are made to the students with the second and first highest grade point average, respectively, in the class of 2019. The class of 2019 salutatorian is Colleen Wall. A native of Berkeley, California, Colleen is a computer science major with minors in history and math. Please congratulate her. I ask the class of 2019 valedictorian, John Stickle, to step forward. By now, you are all familiar with John Stickle, who is also the 2019 Soper Merrill Award winner. John decided on Hamilton because of the combination of great academics, a great hockey program, and the people, and he capitalized on all three. Outside of his studies in athletics, John likes to hike and fish, and we're sure he will find time to do both as he begins his career as a retirement actuarial analyst with Willis Towers Watson in Pittsburgh. After all, he has already passed the first 3 exams to become an associate of the Society of Actuaries. Please congratulate our valedictorian, John Stickle.
We are honored today by the presence of 4 individuals whose accomplishments in the arts, public policy, education, and business we wish to recognize. With the conferral of honorary degrees, they become distinguished members of the Hamilton community. I call now on Susan Scarrett, Vice Chair of the Board of Trustees, to present our first candidate for an honorary degree.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting for an honorary Doctor of Letters, Roz Chast. You grew up in the Flatbush section of Brooklyn, the only child of 2 educators. Each summer, while your parents attended seminars in Ithaca, you spent time in the library where you came across numerous cartoon collections, including the work of Charles Addams, who influenced your later work. After attending Kirkland College on this hilltop, you earned your degree in painting from the Rhode Island School of Design. And then you returned home to New York, where at age 23, you sold your first cartoon to The New Yorker. Cartoons in the New Yorker are every bit as iconic and sophisticated as the text, and your contributions have been especially inventive and avant-garde. Fellow cartoonist Liza Donnelly said your work has widened our understanding of what humor can be. And the New York Times called you an idiosyncratic genius and the poet laureate of urban neurosis. You have written and illustrated a range of books, including your first memoir, Can't We Talk About Something More Pleasant?, which was described as a grimly funny and deeply poignant account of your relationship with your elderly parents in their final years. That book became a bestseller and won a National Books Critics Circle Award and the Kirkus Prize for Nonfiction. You were also recognized with one of the 2015 Heinz Awards, which are presented to exceptional Americans for their creativity and determination in finding solutions to critical issues. In making the award, the Heinz jury cited your uncompromising body of work, which brings wry humor and wit to some of our most profound everyday anxieties, brilliantly translating the mundane into rich, comical observations that reflect your acute observations of the human experience. For your humorous and often unconventional presentation of everyday life, we welcome you back to College Hill and honor you today.
Roz Chast, acting on the authority of the Board of Trustees, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Letters of Hamilton College, admitting you to all of its rights and privileges. In token whereof, we present you with this diploma and invest you with this hood. I call on Jim Hacker, Alumni Trustee, to present our next candidate.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting for an honorary Doctor of Humane Letters, Sean Donovan. In the midst of the Great Recession, which began in 2007, newly elected President Barack Obama knew he needed a leader in the Department of Housing and Urban Development who could, according to Politico, turn the neglected, demoralized agency into an effective player in the government's efforts to fix the ailing housing industry. Budget cuts, brain drain, and chronic second-tier treatment are among the institutional challenges for the person who would become the nation's top housing official amid record foreclosures and plunging home prices. It was a job for someone colleagues described as a super wonk with political savvy and top-tier ties in many worlds. It was a job that suited you perfectly. With degrees in architecture and public administration from Harvard University, previous experience with HUD during the Clinton administration, and service as Commissioner of Housing Preservation and Development in your native New York City, you were confirmed by the U.S. Senate in January 2009 and went on to become the second longest-serving HUD Secretary before moving in July 2014 to assume the lead role at the Office of Management and Budget. A childhood experience you recounted for the Washington Post drove your work at HUD. I grew up in New York, you said, in the wealthiest country on earth, and I saw families sleeping on our streets in Manhattan when I was walking to school as a kid. It just stuck with me. That led me to volunteer homeless shelters in college and onto the path that I followed. This issue, you said, goes right back to why I got started in housing. Today, we recognize with gratitude your role as an effective and compassionate public servant at a critical time in our country's history. Thank you.
Sean Lawrence Donovan, acting on the authority of the Board of Trustees, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Laws of Hamilton College, admitting you to its rights and privileges. In token whereof, we present you with this diploma and invest you with this hood. I call on Rich Bernstein, Charter Trustee, to present a candidate.
Good morning. Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting for an Honorary Doctor of Laws, Freeman A. Hrabowski III. Freeman, you often recall an auspicious day in May 1963 when, as a 12-year-old boy attending the 6th Avenue Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, you heard Dr. Martin Luther King say, "If we can get the children to participate in this peaceful demonstration here in Birmingham, we can show America that even children know the difference between right and wrong, and that children really do want to get the best possible education." Much to your parents' dismay, you joined that march, spent 5 terrifying days in jail as a result, and emerged a changed person. Dr. King predicted what you do this day will have an impact on generations as yet unborn. That prophecy has defined your career. The nation today, you said when receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award in 2018, the nation today looks very different to me than the one that I saw as a child in Birmingham. For those of us who are blessed to have a solid education, our challenge is to help the millions of children for whom this opportunity is not given. And so you have. Today, you are the president of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, an institution lauded by the leader of a national higher education association as, quote, a powerhouse engine of social mobility and academic excellence, particularly in the area of expanding the number of minority students pursuing degrees in the fields of science and technology. Even so, you also recognize the importance of a broad-based education, once asserting the value of a broad liberal arts education is greater now than ever. In recognition of your service as one of the most innovative college leaders in America, and for demonstrating the power of education to transform lives, we honor you today.
Freeman Hrabowski, acting on the authority of the Board of Trustees, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters of Hamilton College, admitting you to all of its rights and privileges. In token whereof, we present you with this diploma and invest you with this hood. I call on Jack Withiam, Life Trustee, to present our final candidate.
Mr. President, I have the honor of presenting for an Honorary Doctor of Humane Letters, Jeff Little. In 2014, the Hamilton Alumni Association named the Volunteer of the Year Award in your honor and selected your friend Linda Johnson as its inaugural recipient. The award recognizes those who have made a substantial, lasting contribution to the college. If Hamilton had a top award for fundraising, it would be named for William McLaren Bristol III, class of 1943, and you would be, without question, the overwhelming choice as its first recipient. You and Mac Bristol share a lot more in common than a complete and unconditional love for Hamilton College. Like Mac, you left Hamilton to join a pioneering family business, and it was during your presidency that George Little Management, which was founded and named for your grandfather, became internationally recognized as a dynamic leader in the trade show industry. You brought that record of accomplishment to Hamilton, and again, like Mac, you became one of this college's most loyal benefactors, offering extraordinary volunteer and financial support. Buildings, scholarships, internships, athletic facilities, professorships, and of course the Hamilton Annual Fund. If the college had a need, you were the first in line to address it. Throughout Hamilton's more than 200-year history, few alumni have served their alma mater with such loyalty and conviction. especially to raise funds for college priorities. Try as we might, we cannot find evidence anyone else in higher education has served as a chair of 4 capital campaigns. When Because Hamilton campaign concludes in 2023, you will have been instrumental in helping Hamilton raise more than $830 million, the largest percentage of it for student scholarship aid. With deep gratitude and profound awe, we recognize you today for what you have done to ensure Hamilton's future success and financial stability.
George F. Little, on the authority of the Board of Trustees, I confer on you the degree of Doctor of Laws of Hamilton College, admitting you to all of its rights and privileges. In token whereof, we present you with this diploma and invest you with this hood. At Hamilton, we want our students to learn to think independently, embrace difference, write and speak persuasively, and engage issues ethically and creatively so that they can make a positive difference in the world. It is hard to think of a better role model than our commencement speaker today. As you heard just a moment ago, Dr. Martin Luther King's prophecy has defined Freeman Hrabowski's career. Few, if any, have done more to advance the cause of higher education as an engine of social mobility. When President Hrabowski took over at the University of Maryland, Baltimore, 27 years ago, it was a little-known commuter campus. Today, it is a leading national research university. For 6 years in a row, U.S. News identified the University of Maryland, Baltimore as the #1 up-and-coming university, and later as among the top 10 most innovative universities in the country. In 2008, U.S. News named President Hrabowski one of America's best leaders. In 2009, Time magazine named him one of America's 10 best college presidents. In 2011, the Washington Post and Harvard Kennedy School named him one of 7 top American leaders. And in 2012, Time magazine listed him as one of the 100 most influential people in the world. Since then, the honors have just kept coming. But set aside the countless awards, the board memberships, the presidential appointments, the books, the consultancies, Freeman Hrabowski has set the standard for the modern university president. It's his passion for education and his ability to translate that into opportunities for students that sets him apart. He calls himself the quintessential nerd. His students, with admiration and respect, call him President Hrabowski. Please join me in welcoming to the podium Hamilton College's 2019 commencement speaker, Freeman Hrabowski.
Thank you very, very much. I promised my students that wherever I would go for the next several years, I would mention that 2 years ago, we made history by being the number 16 seed who beat the number 1 seed, UVA, UMBC in basketball, on nerdy campus. Give us a round of applause. Thank you. And if you knew how nerdy I am, you'd appreciate how this is a big deal. I'm doing what I promised my students I would do. I begin by thanking this wonderful college, the platform guests, our trustees, Mr. President David, all of you, the faculty and the staff, the families, and that fabulous class of 2019. Give them a round of applause, that fabulous class of 2019. And I also begin with poetry. William Carlos Williams said, "It's difficult to find news in poetry, and yet men and women die miserably every day because of a lack of what's found there." So I begin with words from our beloved and now late Maya Angelou, who looked into the face of America decades ago and said, "Lift up your eyes upon this day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, Take it, this dream, into the palms of your hands. Mold it into the image of your most public self. Sculpt it into the shape of your most private need. Here on the pulse of this new day, you may have the grace to look up and out and into your sister's eyes and into your brother's face and say simply, very simply with hope, good morning. Give Poetry and Maya a round of applause for the poetry. I have a fundamental point today, which is that the way we think about ourselves, as the class of 2019, as Hamilton College, as a country, as humankind, the language that we use in interacting with each other, the values that we hold will be so important. We become like whatever it is that really we love. Our dreams and our values shape not only who we are today, but who we will be in the future. I had the privilege of talking to several of your classmates, and I call them my kitchen cabinet. I'm going to ask Megan and Josh and Johnny and Helen and John to stand for a minute, and I want you to give them a round of applause. They have been, wherever they are, please stand and give them a round of applause. Yeah. I had this amazing conversation, and I do this because quite frankly, what I want you to know is that whatever a speaker could say up here is really something you probably already know. That what we do at most is to take a moment to celebrate your success and to reflect and to ask the question, who are we? Who are you as individuals? Who are we as a college? Who are we as an American democracy? But I find that listening to the voices of people graduating can give the speaker, can give me a chance to understand what you believe about yourselves. And I said, well, so what's important to you? And this is, first of all, Megan, who's in economics, will be going on to finance and investment management. Josh, who's a government major, is pursuing his career in music business and actually will be the floor manager for the country musician Luke Bryan. Give him a round of applause. It's a nice idea. It's great, right? And Johnny, an economics major, is going to New York to work in finance. And Helen, who's completing her degree in chemistry, will be going to do research at Mass General. And finally, John, you've heard already, will be going back to Pittsburgh in actuary science. And they come from different majors, and they had several messages for you that resonated with things I wanted to say and that said them in language that was so clear. They said, number one, what's special about Hamilton? It would be the people. It's what you've heard all day, what John said earlier. It's the people. It was so interesting when Megan said, it sounds like a cliche, but we really have that. We developed these friendships, these relationships that people help each other in times of need, in editing in a paper or being a counselor or being supportive of others, that we've worked together in service projects. And so they said it's a special community with all kinds of academic interests and other interests. And then they said this that was so significant, that amazingly, there's a tradition you have here, a number of traditions, but I want to see if this is true. They say that nobody walks on the map until you graduate. Is that true? It is true. So you do it after this, or have you already done it? After, okay, so I got that it is the case, number two. And number three, what they said was that you have powerful voices. And this is on a very serious level, that you have worked to drive change when you've seen the need for change, that you speak truth to power, that you want to encourage each other to continue speaking truth, that you want to encourage using your voices not only to help yourselves, but to help other people, and that you are not one-dimensional, that you have all kinds of interests. It was interesting hearing Helen say that, yes, she's a chemist, but she also enjoyed her courses in ethics and women's studies, and that she was speaking both as a scientist and a student athlete. And each of them could talk about the variety of things that you do, and that you are 1,800 strong. And you're very proud to be in that position. Each of you has a story. You heard Mr. Donovan yesterday telling you to know yourselves. I add to that, to know your stories. To know your stories. It's so interesting. Anybody you meet, you may know one thing about the person, you may have no idea the person's background. Learn the stories of others, but know your own story, how you got here today, your parents, your grandparents, and others, and use those stories. When Rich Bernstein introduced me, we've known each other for years. He's a big guy in finance, but I hadn't heard his story until I was here. And when he said my granddad ran a fruit stand in Newark, and then his dad got a chance to go to college on a scholarship and become a famous scientist, and he talked about those generations. Each of you has generations. Whether you're from privilege or not, you go back far enough, and there was less privilege. And somehow what you have in common are all of these stories. And I thought about the fact that you are now about to enter another phase. And the question you might be asking yourself is this: will I be okay? I'll never forget 49 years ago sitting in commencement, and we had two amazing speakers for baccalaureate and for commencement at my beloved Hampton in Virginia. And we were in awe because we had as our baccalaureate speaker the famous Shirley Chisholm, the first black woman in Congress. And then we had another New Yorker, Adam Clayton Powell, as a speaker. And they said the same thing. They said, life is tough now. Society is so divided. You may see your futures as being at this level, but you must dream big about the possibilities. I want you to know I could never have imagined as a child standing here representing a university with students from 100 countries, speaking at one of the most admired colleges in the world to people from all over the world. I remember so well sitting in jail as a 12-year-old, looking out the window with my fellow children, and we are seeing our parents, and we're seeing Dr. King, and he said that statement about what would happen, that we were going to have an impact on what would happen, that we were empowered to think big about the possibilities. And the only thing we could think at that moment was that we were feeling like not just prisoners, but animals. And yet the message to us was this: you do not let anyone else define who you are. Give me a round of applause for that idea. Don't you let anyone else define who you are. That you must be elevated to believe it, that it is so important. You know, and I remember sitting there, and I remembered them saying that, and yet I was thinking, will I be okay? I was about to go to grad school. I'd never been in class with white kids before. I didn't know what it was going to be like coming out of a segregated South, going to an HBCU, a black college, and here I was going to a big University of Illinois. I had no idea, and yet they said, you'll be okay. And amazingly, I was. But you know, that day, I had just asked my girlfriend to be my fiancée, and she had said yes. And I was so scared. Wait a minute. Will I be a good husband? Well, I want you to know 49 years later, we're still the best of friends and the best of lovers. And give her that round of applause. You will be okay. You will be okay. You really will. And I met a wonderful parents and their son in the elevator at the hotel, and I could tell they were coming to commencement. Their other son was graduating, and I asked a question, and I said, do you remember when your son was born, parents? And they gave themselves a look. Of course, one of the best moments of our lives. It was so clear. And to you, parents, you remember when each of these young people was born, and you had these dreams for your children, and you have worked so hard to get them to this point. And I say to you today, parents and families, well done. Students, give your parents a round of applause. Well done. Well done. They've done well. With a wonderful faculty and wonderful staff, well done. And so here is my message to you. I talked to the two flag bearers, and it was very interesting. One said, Naomi and Helica, and they said, say something funny. And I said, I'm not a funny guy. They said, everybody can say something funny, right? So here we go. Wish me luck, all right? Gonna tell you a quick story. My grandmama had a way of wanting to make me feel supported. And my mom was always worried because I loved two things, food and math. I was getting fatter and smarter all the time, doing my math, eating my M&Ms, the kind with the peanuts in them, you know, the good kind, right? And my grandmother would make 2 blueberry pies. I tell this story all the time. One for the family and one for little fat Freeman, all right? And her daughter would be so upset because my mother was trying to teach me to eat in a healthy way, but there would be a whole pie for me. And I'd sit there and my grandmother would let me just eat the pie while I'm doing my math at the kitchen table, and I have pie all over my face. And my mother would be doing like this, just pathetic. And my grandmother would say, baby, you eat that pie and you enjoy yourself, all right? Now that was what I call savoring the moment. This is your blueberry pie moment, folks. This is a moment for your families and your faculty to feel so good about. So take this moment and taste it. I want you to savor this moment because there will be times when you will be challenged and you will have to ask the question, will I be okay? My message to you is you will be very okay. And so I challenge you to ask the good questions. Hrabowski always said that his mother would say to him every day, at school, something different from what other mothers said in New York. Other mothers would say, did you learn anything in school today? He said, but not my Jewish mother. He said, Hrabowski, a Nobel laureate in physics, said, my mother would say this, Izzy, did you ask a good question today? And the practice of encouraging his curiosity made him the thinker he became. I want you to keep asking good questions, number one. Keep asking the hard questions. Keep thinking of things we've not thought about as we think about social justice, as we think about inequality, as we think about seeking the truth. And then number two, to never stop learning. We can never say that enough. Amazingly, Beckett, the Irish novelist who wrote in French, had a character who studied the dancing of bees. When bees are dancing, they're actually communicating. And he said this, here is something I could study, this dancing of bees, all my life and never understand it. But he said it with great rapture because the more he studied the dancing of the bees, the more he began to understand how they were communicating. But the more he understood, the more he realized he had so much more to know. And that's the significance of an education, of a liberal education. You're constantly learning new things. My wife and I decided to start studying French a couple of years ago, and my students gave me this strange look, and they said, don't you think you're kind of old to start at this point? And I said, bring it on, right? Bring it on. So j'étudie le français chaque jour. Plusieurs étudiants à UMBC parlent français couramment. And so I quote for you the French poet Apollinaire who said, la joie venait toujours après la peine. La joie venait toujours après la peine. What does it mean? It means the joy comes after the struggle. You have worked hard here. On my campus, we use the word grit. Our Chesapeake Bay Retriever is true grit. We say we're the house of grit. Well, you are that kind of place. You have worked so hard to get to this point. And today is that blueberry moment when you can just look at it and think, this is what I will do for the rest of my lives, and it will make all the difference in the world. And my final point involves something that Justice Brandeis said. He said that the most important office in the land is that of private citizen. You are becoming the most advantaged, the most privileged of educated citizens in the world. And of those to whom much is given, much is required. And that's what your graduates, your fellow graduates were saying to me. Challenge us to pay it forward. Challenge us to be asking the questions and to fight for righteous, for the right things, for the right people, for all the people. And I want you, with that thought, to remember the words of Fred Lawrence over Phi Beta Kappa, who said that the most important thing we can teach our students is to be able to present our arguments and base them with facts, with evidence. Number two, to be willing to listen to other points of view and to evaluate the evidence. And number three, to find the common ground and to look for that common ground for the public good. You know, this is the 100th anniversary that when Congress approved that 19th Amendment for women. It was ratified in 20, but it was in June of 1919. Only 100 years ago did we, our great country, understand the importance that women should have the right to vote. Give me a round of applause for women and their future and respect and dignity. My grandmama, who made that pie, had to fight in Alabama, and we got something called the Alabama literacy test, and whites could put an X there if they couldn't read. But blacks had to pass this test based on the Constitution. My grandmother, my brilliant 6th grade educated grandmama, literally had several of her women friends, and they went to that second time they had failed it, and they took parts of the test and memorized them and brought them back and put it together to understand the parts of the Constitution they were going to be tested on. And then my grandmother would have my mama working with her as if she was a lawyer on the Constitution. And when she came in that house, in the early 1960s, and she looked in my face with tears down her face, she said, I am now a voting citizen of America. How dare we not vote? How dare we not vote? More now than ever, we must show that the American democracy is about all of us. Watch your thoughts, they become your words become your actions become your habits become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. Congratulations to the class of 2019. I am so proud of them. Congratulations to the class of 2019. I am so... God bless you all.
In a moment, I will call upon Dean Terry Martinez to present the class of 2019. Before I do, I want to recognize with profound sadness 2 members of our class who are no longer with us, but who will, in our memories, always be very much a part of our community. Please join me in a moment of silence in memory of Graham Burton and Isaiah Carpenter Winch. I call now upon Dean of Students Terry Martinez to present the class of 2019.
Will the class of 2019 please rise? President Whitman, the Hamilton College faculty attest that these individuals have fulfilled the requirements for the degree of Bachelor of Arts.
Members of the class of 2019, you have completed the requirements for a Hamilton College degree, although by no means has your education ended. Acting on the authority delegated to me by the Board of Regents of the State of New York and the trustees of Hamilton College, I confer upon each of you the degree of Bachelor of Arts, with all of the rights and privileges appertaining thereto, and admit you to the fellowship of educated women and men. In token whereof, I shall present your diploma as you come forward.
Before we commence proclamation of the names of each of our 487 graduates in the class of 2019, who come from 18 countries, 36 states and territories, and 123 of whom are receiving a commencement honor, I wish to say a few words about the commencement protocol. Individuals are asked to come forward to take photographs, as there's no room for photography for others to come forward in front of them. The college photographers will capture a visual record of the moment of individual degree conferral. In order to meet fire safety requirements and to have seating for the more than 5,000 guests attending this weekend, we've had to use the entire length of this field house for seating. So most importantly, please hold your applause and other expressions of joy and relief until the last student's name is called. I understand the impulse to let your pride come forth when your loved one's name is called, but I ask that you check that initial impulse in order that each student's name can be heard and not drowned out by the cheers for the person who preceded them. We will begin with Associate Dean of Faculty, Anno Orleman, calling the names of students with surnames beginning with A through K. If your surname is alphabetized at or following that letter, the letter L, please come to the other side of the stage where Associate Dean of Faculty Nate Goodell will call your name. So now, let us begin with the first row. You may be seated.
A.B. Wanda Frash Abera. Andres G. Aguilar. Ifeolua Samuel Ayelabowo. Kenan Aiken. Alessandra Franca Akewumi. Matthew James Albino, Jr. Kevin Patrick Alcala. Sarah Julia Aldrich. Emily Patton Alexander. Jordan Christopher Allen. Jacob Altman DeSole. Victoria Anibaro. Robert Joseph Eriks III. Michael Avila. Emily Avilés. Nicholas McQuilling Balderston. Micah Banks Baylog. Diana Berry. Elijah Jinwan Owen Barstas. Audrey Bartels. Natalie A. Basta. Zachary Michael Baum. Jean Jennings Beecher. Jared Dennison Belsky. Jeremy Corland Benjamin. Jesse M. Bennett. Haley Berliner. Catherine Elizabeth Barry. Joshua Anthony Biltikoff. Zachary Bivens. Alexander James Black. Tegan Fenn Blackwell. Andre Peters Bogdanovich. Jake Thomas Bolster. Julia Jasper Booth. Sabrina Jean Boutselis. Justin Avery Bauer. Liam Timothy Bradley. Tatiana Rose Bradley. Elizabeth Ashley Brottigam. David William Braverman. Edwin Daniel Brennan. Peter Atwater Berchetti. Jason Brochu. Zachary Gerard Brookler. Cassidy Marlene Brown. John Francis Buckley III. Emily Grace Buff. Cole Joseph Burchell. Hannah Bernard Burrell. Haley Tate Burrows. Jacqueline Eve Busgang. Giacomo Alfonso Cabrera. Rachel Cady. Anne Montgomery Canning. Anthony John Cantarella. John Kenneth Carey. Madeline Ladd-Finch Carlman. Alyssa Lee Carlson. Ethan Daniel Caro. Joseph Angelo Caruso. Matthew Campbell Cassidy. Ursula Doro Castablanco. Shelby Amor Castillo. Drew Castronovo, Michaela Margaret Catarasano, Lucas Andrew Seshura, Robert Adam Chapman, Ian Chen, Yushin Chen, Caroline Gloria Shively, Nicholas Jaconia, Liliana Rose Christie, Molly Barbara Clark, Stephen Caldwell Clement, Gareth Foster Colson, Casey McClure Codd, Maura Hanson Colley, Erin Cecilia Collins, Jenna Columbia, Jack Confrey, Noelle Ann Connors, Jameson Carstairs Cook, Jackson Tyler Cooper, Delgado Ian Corcoran, Robert Benjamin Cornaglia, Shaina J. Coronel Pazmino, Maya McEwen Coate, Taylor Elizabeth Corsi, Richard Maximilian Altman Court, Ian Matthew Crimmins, Charlotte Marguerite Cross, Sukarja Sylvester Cunningham, Pascal Daphanis Jr., Yassine Mohammed Dalek, Julail O. Davis, Rachel Lynn Dawson, Abigail Rosemary Dayton, Leah Joy DeFranco, Sebastian Luke DeGuine, Emily Jean DeYoung, Gabriel DeMolder DeJoseph, Desmond Lenora DePaulus, Christopher Bruce Dever, Andrea Marie Dickmeyer, Aaron Carrier Dobieski, Catherine Elizabeth Dolan, Allison Charlene Donlin, Jennifer Carol Donovan, John Paulding Dorer, Timothy Bernard Doyle, Jessie Elizabeth Dromsky Reed, Harrison Foster Dubkey, Phoebe F. Duke Mosier, Genesis Duran Urena, Louis Mark Zialo, Brian Berlin Edwards, Elizabeth Timea Igei, Gada Musa Emish, Jacob Allen Engelman, John Arthur Ennis, Carlo Esquivia, Gregory Andrew Evans, Stephanie Ray Fabry, Stephen Oliver Falco, Nicholas Angelo Falcone, Austin Z. Fanberg, Oluwapalumi Peter Fasola, Elissa Charlotte Foyer, Kagan S. Finnegan, Hannah Fink, Suzanne Aaron Finnerty, Jacob McCourt Fishman, Christina Theodota Florakis, Corey James Fogarty, Samantha Claire Fogel, Charles Sanford Fogg, Austin Thomas Ford, Morgan Landon Foster, Marie Merci Fouché, Michaela May Franks, Ram Anthony Frankie, Lisa Jane Frazier, Grace Bernadette Friedel, Sawyer Elizabeth Frisbee, Ningyi Fu, Olivia L. Fuller, William Edward Gabriel, Patricia H. Gagnon, Roderick David Gagnon, Deborah Horlali Gakpo, Alexandra Gale, Kira E.J. Ganswith, Annalie Patrice Garcia, Molly E. Geisinger, Lee Catherine Jalot, Apaspalia Geranios, Mariani German, V. Paul Giuliano, Daniele Gomez Rodriguez, Daniela Gonzalez, Samantha Julia Gordon, Julia Gorlevitskaya, Michael Crane Grassi, Samuel Gibbons Grauberger, Michaela Parsons Greeley, Megan McCarrick Grip, Andrew William Grohl, Henry Gumina, Diane Guo, Alana Gushu, Joshua Elwood Gutierrez, Matthew Kingsley Haas, Catherine M. Hacker, Jane Louise Haffer, Fikir Menebere Hailey, Grant Harris Hamilton, Claire Hahn, Emily Hahn, Christian Andrew Hansen, Joseph Copenhaver Harnett, Christopher Denton Hart, Raven L. Haub, John Putnam Hay, Cassandra Lynn Hayward, Chi-Chen He, Francis Patrick Hearn, Grace Marie Heller, Alexandra Victoria Hendry, Mitchell Philip Herman, Juan Carlos Hernandez Jr., Maximiliano Pedro Hernandez Zapata, Henry Lamb Hill, Peter Wolfgang Hoffman, Alexander Paul Holmwood, Anne von Homans, Hannah Zoe Honan, Colin Francis Horgan, Margaret Rose Horn, Michael J. Hosek, Kate Persick Hotelling, Conrad Lian Shong, Tyler Anthony Hudson, Anika Chan Huck, Lindsay Sean Jadow, Jenna Danielle Jewell, Nicholas Jickling, Robin Jimenez, Eric Wesley Johansson, Paul Densmore Johnson III, Reed Johnson, Atticus Jones, Colby Jones, Keandra Toria Jones, Meredith Margaret Jones, Kimone Sarita Jordan, Andrew Joseph Juckno, Krishna Samir Khan, Sarah Elizabeth Kaiser, Mary Margaret Kolb, Stephanie Call, Sarah Aislinn Kane, Abigail Marie Kaplan, Henry Sanders Cap, Oliver Kyungte Domenico K, Christopher John Keller Jr., Cole James Keller, Stephen J. Kelly, Kristen Carmela Kepler, Stephen Richard Kettig, Phoebe Viola Keys, Grant Harrison Kefauver, Byung-Yo Kim, Deborah Joo-hee Kim, Carter Shea King, Anthony Miller Kinlin, Jonathan Aaron Kirschenbaum, Risper Kemtai Karui, Claire Anastasia Kitts, Sabrina Gloria Kleckner, Zachary Evan Kleinbaum, Avery Dean Klinger, Phoenix Amani Nightjacks, William John Stoll Coble, Max Simon Cohn, Sanju Koirala, Esther Joy Krasner, Jesse Ellie Kravitz,
Meredith Lord LaBelle, Ashna M. Lawani, Elizabeth Marion LaMantia, Zachary Elvis Larson, Hannah Irene Lasher, Jacob Rhett Liebren, Emily Lay, Molly Elizabeth Leitner, Madeline Jean-Michel Lepassant, Andrew Anthony Lataille, Ian Bradley Leviton, Yongzhen Liang, Helen Lin, Emily Liu, Edsel Adner Francisco Yarador, Virginia Pei Loke, Levi S. Lorenzo, Jacob Philip Lowy, Mary Elizabeth Lundeen, Sarah Luster, Eva Eugenia Lynch-Comer, Elizabeth Richmond Meyer, Brian Anthony Maldonado, Catherine Kelly Mann, Dana Thomas Morocco, Jack D. Martin, Gabriel Ronald Masters, Andrew Keith MacArthur, Clayton Riley McCollum, Patrick Daniel McConnell, Nora Mona McEntee, Catherine Eileen McKillop, Fiona Ann McLaughlin, Hannah Lillian McLean, Jared McMickle, Ji Ying Mei. Sophie Rebecca Menashe. Zachary Lucas Mendelevici. Willa Mahili Hollykoch. Khan Michi. Georgia Culkin Miller. Ricardo Edner Milien. Gregory Harrison Milnerick. Danielle Moni Zobo. Carolyn Elizabeth Moore. Benjamin A. Morgan. Sarah Buckley Morrow. Charles Donald Morse. Claudia June Morse. Gabriel D. Moss. Eben Chase Nelson Moulton. Annalise Joy Mugel. Lucy Catherine Munvies. Jasmine Tiana Murray. Jessica Murray. Bilal Nayar Mustafa. Grace Ann Myers. Rowan Lindsay Myers. Nalish Jikashin Nayar. Jason Hunter Nostovsky. Alec Finley Neal. Richard Hercules Nelly. Emma Nelson. Isabel Ellen Nickel. Ian Nichols. Delaney Grace Nickel. Ian Anthony Nish. James Bernard Nish. Michael J. Knoll. Olivia Hope Northrop. Jordan James Northrop. William Nwenge. Gabriel Aaron O'Brien. Declan E. O'Connor. Benjamin Reed Oltzik. Catherine Elizabeth O'Malley. Nicholas Leon Pace. Benjamin Lusk Parfit. Thomas Fitzpatrick Parker. Vishal Patel. Paige Alyssa Pendergrast. Winston Marie Pennybacker. Zachary George Perez. Giovanna Marquez Peta. Trent Coburn Pfeiffer. Ryan Michael Phelps. Maxwell Lockridge Phillips. Sarah Ann Pickup. G. Trevor Pinkham. Christina Placas. Elliot Jordan Plout. Ethan Plotkin. Kara Kale Pooley. Sion Powell. Cora Janina Prudhomme. Darius Quintero. Brandon Rasidi. Harishna Rajaman. Kendall Nichelle Rollins. Betsy Carolina Ramirez. Will Rasenberger. Mia Elizabeth Ratino. Karthik Ravashankar. Andrew Lawrence Reddish. Olivia Geyer Reese. Marissabel Ray. Hunter Quinn Reynolds. Julia E. Reynolds. Benjamin Campbell Rind. Margaret Sophia Reardon. Sarah Elizabeth Robertson. Garth Michael Robinson. Andrea Jo Rocky. Sean Timothy Rose. Willa Jean Rose. Julia Barish Rosenbaum. Michaela Grace Engel Rostov. William M. Rothschild. Joshua Max Rothstein. Daniel Joseph Russell. LaShawn Russell Ware. Maria Carla Sens. Sandra Saldana. Brett Edwin Sanford. Craig Anthony Sanford. Tasia Dawn Santiago. Rachel Elaine Schooler. Danielle Lauren Schumann. Jeffrey Donald Schweller. Anna Helene Scott. Ryan N. Sedgwick. Jack Seneff. Haley A. Servant. Connor James Sharkey. Shen So Tong. Annika Caroline Shepard. Elizabeth Talmadge Sherrill. Riley Anderson Shue. Henry Myers Scholdener. Eleanor Elizabeth Silva. Catherine Grace Silvestri. Nicholas Leonard Silvestri. Deborah S. Sim. Olivia Margaret Simone, Belladonna M. Sins, Gwyneth Seiss, Alexei Ann Smith, Lona Claire Snyderman, Nathan Sobel, Joshua T. Summers, Jenny Thornathon Sunrengthonson, Tyler Spector, Catherine Lillian Stenell, Victoria Jane Stapleton, Emily Leslie Steets, Gabrielle Caitlin Stern, Noelani M. Stevenson, Jonathan R. Stickle, Jonathan Robert Stimola, Sarah Emily Steinbaugh, Benjamin Yehuda Stoller, Benjamin J. Stoloff, Kevin Lee Strong, Helen Stutzman, Edward A. Sullivan, Adrian Devon Summers, Zara Sheng Yun Sun, Hannah Catherine Swan, Brooke Talsania, Ryan Nichols Tamburino, Emery Carolyn Taylor, Nicole Sarah Taylor, Robert Joseph Taylor, Richard Alexander Craig Tierlink, Caitlin Elizabeth Thayer, John Randolph Thompson, Haley Ann Teets, Ming Wayet To, Brandon Patrick Tobin, Casey Joan Tobin, Constantine Toker, Sean Tolton Jr., Julia Tisvia, Emily Catherine Tubb, George S. Tucker, Elijah Mitchell Turcharilli, Rissa Noel Ulinski, Anadisi Uribe, William Clemens Uchschneider, Michael Valerie, Elizabeth Vasquez, Abigail Grace Vizentainer, William Harrison Van Wijzy, Annalise Matsumoto Vaught. Shanae S. Wadwani. Colleen Savannah Wall. Daniel Sage Wall. Taylor Jordan Wallace. Benjamin Christopher Walsh. Jinghong Wong. Michael Chen Wang. Elizabeth Cooper Warner. John Warren. Electra D. Washburn. Henry Andrew Watson. Samantha Anderson Weeks. Evan Zachary Weinstein. Jody Darren Weiss. Emily Weller. John Daniel Wellers. Faith Jillian White. Megan Elizabeth Wilkinson. Emily Mercedes Williams. Rebecca Grace Williams. Catherine Charlotte Winner. Melissa Zara Woodward. William John Wright. Victoria Shu. Rao Rao Yen. Zi Ying Yang. Susanna Fei Yi. Hua Hannah Yep. Chawing Janice Yoon. Emily Kiyuk Yong. Caitlin Olivia Yu. Jesse B. Yu. Ashlea Izahugeri. Alec Zembarine. Mikkel Zembarine. John Jang. Stephanie Chen Jang. Judy Joe. Shongjin Ju. Alexa Rob Zildjian. Jack L. Zogab. Charlotte Jeanette Zonis. Caroline Moore Zuckold. Rachel Zuckerman.
Congratulations to all of our graduates. I am delighted now to introduce the class speaker, Matthew Albino.
Thank you, President Whitman, and thank you again, Mr. President, for letting us all walk around your house during the senior barbecue dinners a few weeks ago. I have the wonderful opportunity to congratulate the class of 2019 from the comfort of my very own podium. Now, for those of you who don't know me, you may recognize me as one of the two brave souls who wore a beautiful pink prom dress to the Deutsche Bank networking event here on campus about a month and a half ago. And as you can probably guess from the specificity of that image, yes, this speech will be about that. However, my decision to share with you my prom dress adventures did not come to mind at first. Instead, when I sat down to write this speech, I found myself stuck. Even with a liberal arts degree, with which I can legally do anything, my critical thinking and writing skills shied away as I desperately searched for ideas as life-changing as the new card swipers in our dining halls or the advent of the Roomba. But then I realized I was making an assumption that I couldn't be that person. The prom dress comes soon, trust me, but let's lean in for a moment. I spent the past summer, along with my friend Erica at the Second City in Chicago, completing a program recommended to us by a few alums. The words of Liz Joyce Sandberg, our amazing professor, have surely helped me find my way up here today, in front of all my peers and all your weird relatives. Consider two questions. 1, what assumptions are you making? 2, do those assumptions serve you? Let's use this event as a little model. Among many things, we probably all assumed that we couldn't sneak snacks into the building under our graduation robes for this marathon of a ceremony. We adhere to assumptions that keep us from straying from the normal, and strapping a bag of mac and cheese to your body is pretty irregular by most accounts. But if you are hungry right now, craving the sweet release of a Euphoria mac and cheese, then that assumption did not serve you, and my words cannot explain how much you've been failed. Returning to this speech, we can agree then that the assumption that I had previously been sitting with, that is, surely I'm not someone with something of worth to say, did not serve me. In fact, it was hindering me, begging me to be small and quiet. For many of us, assumptions like these are a regular occurrence. Which brings me to the prom dress. If any of you know me, you know that I admire the Career Center, so this story comes from a place of love. About a month and a half ago, while preparing for our upcoming sketch show, Eric and I noticed a group of students gathering in KJ, where an investment banking firm had representatives there to network, connect, give advice, you name it. Everyone looked professional and prepared as they discussed resumes, inflation, pie graphs, the gold standard, and anything else that one talks about at an investment banking firm. But also, everyone looked stiff, a little nervous, one might even say hyper-serious. There were suits, pantsuits, cufflinks, button-downs, ties. Looking around the rest of the building, students in the atrium next to the event also looked excruciatingly serious, glued to their laptops or reading as quickly as one's body would let them. Myself included, we were all adhering to an assumption that we must be serious and we must be extra no-nonsense when in the company of the Deutsche Bank. Among many things, we all assume that in KJ, during an investment banking networking event, one does not wear a prom dress. The second question, does this assumption serve me, was curious. Bear in mind, this is our senior spring. I only have so much time left with my friends at the school, and I was assuming I had to spend it quietly typing away at my thesis. I relish in the fun, the laughter, the infectious quality of a benevolent chaos, yet I was letting this assumption hold me back from not only doing something that would make me happy, but hopefully something that would bring a necessary levity to a serious air in the building. So the question became, why can't we have some fun and make some people laugh? We ran to Babbitt, grabbed our prom dresses we had purchased for our show, ran back to KJ, and benevolently joined in the Career Center festivities, just for a few minutes. Against all expectations, the world did not end when two people in lavish prom dresses approached one of the tables and stood by, waiting for someone to offer us a job. We weren't offered any position at the Deutsche Bank, but people laughed, people smiled awkwardly, unsure how to appropriately respond, and maybe, I hope, the serious tension holding us all hostage was a little less taut by the time I asked my friend to unzip me in the bathroom stall. So this leaves us with 3 questions in total. 1, what assumptions are you making? 2, do those assumptions serve you? And finally, 3, if they don't, what is stopping you from breaking them? I want to remind you all that as a class, we have collectively shattered assumptions that have boxed us in. The assumption that Tarana Burke, the founder of the Me Too movement, was too big of a name to ever come to campus did not serve us, and the Voices of Color Lecture Series team broke that assumption through their incredible work and dedication. The assumption that Hamilton didn't want or need an all-women band was an assumption that never served this community, and I'm grateful to the talented members of Yannick Youth who have shattered that assumption. The most exciting moments and the most meaningful changes have come when we broke the notions that have boxed us in. When we have the courage to disrupt assumptions that don't serve us, we find ourselves eating mac and cheese at graduation ceremonies, or in the company of great leaders, and dancing with our friends at Babbitt Pavilion. And I know for some of us, breaking assumptions that box us in is a question of personal safety, and the stakes of disruption are not equally shared. But I hope that we, as a class of intelligent, caring, and creative individuals, can continue to collaborate together in order to break the boxes that make us and those around us feel invisible. I'm proud of what this class has disrupted, and I'm excited to see what you all shake up next, be it in your career, a movement, or even just a prom dress with your friend. Thank you, and good luck, class of 2019.
Thank you, Matthew. Congratulations again, graduates. Go forth then, members of the class of 2019. Make the world a better place. I know you will make us proud, and I trust you will come back often. Congratulations.
If you are able, please rise while we sing Carissima, the words to which are printed in your program. Everyone is invited to the picnic on the Dunham Green. Please remain standing in your places until after the procession has left the auditorium. This assembly is adjourned.